it's Elena. This week I made a reversible quilted jacket out of something that I found from Goodwill. So I'm going to show you everything that I did, and you can make one just like this. If you would please like this video and subscribe, it would really help me out. So I found this quilt from Goodwill for $10, and as you can see, it's kind of a large quilt, which is perfect for this. I had so much extra fabric after this, but I went ahead and just folded it in half, and I used a bodice pattern from one of my dresses that I like that's a little bit loose fitting on me, just to get that neck arm shape. And then I used a jacket that I like to let me know kind of how long I wanted it to be and how wide that bottom portion of the jacket is. So I have my back piece and then my two front pieces. I'm just going ahead and pinning them right sides together along the side seams and the shoulder seams. You will also want to cut out sleeves. Again, I just used a sleeve pattern piece to give me the general idea, and then I just lengthened it about the length of my sleeve of the jacket that I'm going off of. I really like the fit of that one, so I'm just wanting to do something similar to that. And then right there you can see those are my sleeves. I'm just folding them in half and pinning them right sides together along the side. So when I bought this fabric and started cutting everything out, I actually didn't even realize that I wanted to have it reversible. I didn't really have that stroke of genius until right before I started sewing. And so I decided to do something called a French seam. So basically what a French seam is you sew your fabric wrong sides together, which feels like bad and against the grain, but you want to sew your fabric wrong sides together, flip it in half, and then sew it right sides together. And as you can see, that seam is totally, completely enclosed. And it's a little bit bulky because there's a couple layers of fabric, but it looks really nice. It makes it look super finished, and in this case, makes it so that our jacket is now reversible. So I did that for the shoulder seams, and now I am sewing wrong sides together all along the side of my jacket. So, you know, the side seam where your leg going up into your armpit. Then you want to flip it over, and now it is right sides together, and then kind of pinch along where you just sewed and pin it so that it's all nice and secured. And then you're just going to sew all along there with a generous seam allowance to make sure that when you are folding it back right sides out, you don't see any of that raw edge seam allowance that you sewed before. So as you can see, that chunk is kind of sticking out. I don't want that just floating out. So what I'm going to do is fold it over and then just sew all the way down. That way I don't have anything like flapping in the wind. I don't want wings. So I'm just sewing all the way down, securing it so that it looks really nice and clean and cut. You're gonna go ahead and do that same exact thing for all of your seams. So I did it for my shoulder seams, my side seams, and now I'm doing the exact same thing for my sleeves. In this case, I don't have a lot of room to work with, so I'm trimming that seam allowance to get it as small as possible. And I am just doing the same exact thing as I did before, putting it right sides together and sewing and encasing that previous seam. And now it looks really nice. The next step is to go ahead and attach those sleeves to the actual jacket. So you are going to, once again, put it wrong sides together. I can't say this enough. It literally was so hard for me. I felt like I was doing something wrong. But you want to put it wrong sides together and start by lining up those bottom seams in your armpit area. And if you have any extra fabric, I usually like to just kind of gather it at the top of the shoulder, and I find that really looks nice. So just like before, sew along and then flip it right side out, or wrong side out, I guess in this case. I'm pinning it to secure it, and then you're just going to sew along and encase that seam. Now, I'm not going to lie, I broke 2 needles doing this. Because this is quilted fabric, there are multiple layers. If you were doing this with like a silk or a cotton, it would be a lot easier, but in this case we're going through a lot of different layers, so just be very careful, go super slow, and you should be able to get through it okay. I really wanted pockets on this jacket, so I decided to do kind of like a square pocket that I have on the front of each side. So I just cut out 2 squares and folded down the top. Just a note, for most of my edges, so like along the bottom of the jacket and the sleeves, I just used the already existing finished edge, so it created a lot less work for me. So just cut your pocket so that the top that you fold over is already finished, and that's one less step for you to do. And then go ahead and put on your jacket and just kind of figure out the placing that you want it to be. Make sure that it feels natural, and also that they are big enough to hold your hands and a phone maybe. And then just secure it and sew all along. I went ahead and used a zigzag stitch just to make sure that it was very secure. And you can do that for all 4 pockets. Make sure that your pockets are all in the same position, and it should go smooth. Once you have your pockets placed, you're ready to do your buttons. So I took my button and placed it where I wanted my first one to be. Because I only had 3 buttons for each side, I just wanted buttons on the top half. So I placed the first button and placed the 3rd button, and then just split it in half, and that's where I placed my 2nd button. Mark it with a pencil or chalk or something, and then you can make buttonholes for each one of those. So in my case, I had 3 buttons, so I wanted 3 different buttonholes. I also suggest that you do your first buttonhole on a trial piece of fabric just to make sure that it fits your button nice and secure, but also still snug. And then sandwich the fabric in between your 2 buttons, and you can sew each of your buttons on. I have 3 buttons on the front and 3 buttons in the inside, so I have 6 buttons total. Now all that's left is to finish off any raw edges that you have. So I tried to do this as little as possible. So the only raw edge that I actually had was along my neckline. So what I did is I measured along my neckline and cut out a piece of fabric that length, and I did it probably about 4 or 5 inches wide. And I folded it in half and then folded each side in so that I could make my own type of bias tape. So here I'm just pinching that over along my neckline, pinning it, and then folding in those edges, kind of encasing that raw edge. And then you can go ahead and just sew all along, and that will finish off your neckline and look super cute and kind of stick to the whole quilting theme. I thought that it looked really natural and looked like it was supposed to be there the whole entire time. Okay, and here's the finished jacket. This is one of the sides, and you know, I actually think I like this side better than the other side personally, but let me know down in the comments which side you prefer the most, and let me know if you guys end up making something similar. I feel like you could make this look so many different ways depending on what kind of quilt you ended up getting. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed it, if you're going to make something similar, and please like and subscribe for more fancy content in the future.